the Vegas Raiders, they've had quite an offseason, right? Pete Carroll's the new head coach. They got Chip Kelly's the new OC. Drafted Ashton Genty. But the big one is trading for quarterback Geno Smith. He's now reunited with Pete Carroll. They had some success in Seattle, but it's his first time working with Chip Kelly. Geno says Kelly has made the transition smooth, adding that Chip knows that I can see the game, whatever that means. I don't know. I'm kind of torn on this team. We talked about him a lot, Colin, but there are some Raiders fans on staff. Hint, hint. What do you really think of Geno Smith? Because I'm shocked that he was in that same tier as Brock Purdy. I can't get over that.
I think Pete Carroll clearly likes him. He defended him in Seattle. He brought him into the Raiders. So, they always say, just like when people look for jobs, it takes one. And I think Pete Carroll likes him. Pete Carroll likes him. He's a big guy with a big arm that can throw the ball down the field. The Raiders are going to be a run-first team with Chip Kelly and Ashton Genty. Brock Bowers, tight end, not a wideout. So I think they'll play. Pete is old school a little bit. He wants more conservative game, low on turnovers, run game and defense and special teams. So my take is Geno fits Pete. It only takes one. I mean, like Adam Schefter reporting, nobody was calling about Brock Purdy. Kyle Shanahan loves him. That's all it takes. Mike McDaniel loves Tua. Brian Flores did not. It takes one. He got paid.
Yeah. We try to be thought leaders, and I'm just going to float this out there. You tell me your thoughts. So Pete Carroll gets the job, and first thing he says is, we got to get a quarterback. This quarterback room was garbage last year. So he looks at the landscape. He's like, okay, we could make a play for Sam Darnold, but he kind of had an outlier year with Kevin O'Connell. We could draft. We could look at the quarterbacks in the draft. We have a top 10 pick. Maybe we like Shador, so they kick the tires on the quarterbacks. Then, hey, Kirk Cousins, we could go out and trade for him, but he looked kind of washed. Maybe Geno was simply the best option among a pretty weak slate in the offseason of quarterback options.
Well,
is that possibly what happened?
I think Darnold and Geno are similar in that if you hurry them, their mistakes increase. But I could see Pete Carroll, based on his history, thinking Darnold was a little reckless for his taste. Geno's not necessarily reckless. He's actually not reckless if he has a run game. He's a very good play-action pass quarterback, over 100 rating. But I can see in Pete's world watching Sam and thinking he can do a little hero ball. He's a little reckless. He was at college. He was with the Jets. He was with Carolina. So I think that's been coached out of him. But, I get Pete picking Geno over Sam Darnold. That I get.
It's it's not quite like when you're playing pickup recess, when you're dividing up the teams and there's a draft and there's like 3 guys left and it's like, well, I've got to take that guy because he's there. I don't know that Geno Smith is the long-term answer. This is a bridge quarterback, clearly, right?
Okay. Wow. I knew I was making a Raiders clip because I come across this and I see Geno Smith. I see the Raiders logo. I say, all right, let's make a Raiders video. And I thought about Geno Smith, and I actually already have a link set up because I'm like, I can't wait to talk about this. I can't wait to talk about Geno Smith. And I was about to be like, you know what? I'm very high on the Raiders. And I'm like, you know what? I'm even higher on the Raiders now that I think about it more and more and more. I'm excited. I'm pumped. And I was already thinking of all the stuff that I want to say. And then I get this dropped in here. Okay. First off, you always... What type of pool of quarterbacks do you think you're going to be able to work with? What do you think? It's just going to be like Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Patrick Mahomes are just available right now to pick? What I don't even understand. And Geno Smith is an older quarterback, so we get that. So right, he's not like a 10-year solution for the Raiders. Glad we got that figured out. And you would potentially look at like a Sam Darnold because you would say, hey, if Sam Darnold works and if Sam Darnold actually is a great quarterback now, like what he did with the Minnesota Vikings, that could be our quarterback for the next 8 years. That's a chunk of time. You can actually really build a long runway. You can go through kind of multiple teams if he is indeed the guy. So it makes sense that you would consider him and think about it. And I know also the Raiders were considering Matthew Stafford, and it's like Matthew Stafford is a big time quarterback, a Super Bowl winning quarterback, still has some life under with him. Still a short window as well, but that. So there's always going to be some of these other options, and there always is going to be a Kirk Cousins level quarterback who's like pretty good, kind of getting older, coming off an injury, the Joe Flaccos, the Kirk Cousins, etc., etc. So like trying to use this as a way to like paint an argument. Oh, we're looking at Shador Sanders. They obviously weren't. So we can just stop with that nonsense. And like, this is who Geno Smith is according to PFF. Few would have pegged Smith to grade as the 6th best passer in the NFL over the past 2 seasons. But here we are. In fact, his 85.8 passing grade in that span is just 0.2 points shy of Patrick Mahomes. You're like, oh, Patrick Mahomes, but he still had Travis Kelce. He had Rashee Rice. Like he has Andy Reid. So let's relax on that. And after being traded for the 3rd round pick this offseason, Smith should enjoy an improved offensive line, but a downgrade in receiving weapons, definitely a massive upgrade in the run game and coaching. He protects the football and has a knack for generating big time throws. So it's just so interesting to me to just try to like automatically downplay Geno Smith because some of your like preconceived notions. Geno Smith has never been on a team as good as Brock Purdy. Ever. Ever. That's like not even remotely controversial. That has to just be the most lukewarm, neutral, basic, elementary take. That's like saying if you score a touchdown, you get 6 points. And then if you kick an extra point, that's 1. And if you do a 2-point conversion, that's 2. And if you don't get that, then you only have 6 points. It's like it's just obvious. It's clear. Like it's just basic. It's elementary. So like those things matter. And listen, I'm not even trying to have a conversation who I think is better, Brock Purdy or Geno Smith. I'm really not. But Geno Smith, because Geno Smith's career as a whole has been kind of bizarre. So I do get it. I really do get it. But the reality is like I don't really care what happened years ago. I really don't. And I just care about how has he looked and how has he played over these last few years. And obviously really good. Again, it's like I don't have a strong desire to try to figure out, well, is he actually 10 or is he actually 14? Who would you rather have? CJ Stroud or Geno Smith? Baker Mayfield or Geno Smith? Jordan Love, etc. And it's like I don't really care, especially because a lot of these other quarterbacks you're looking at potential and who they will be one day and whatnot. And I'm not really interested in that with Geno Smith and the Las Vegas Raiders right now because I'm not looking at Geno Smith to be the quarterback for the next 6 years or something of this team. I'm really not. And considering what I've seen him do in very incomplete, inconsistent situations, I've been very impressed. Very impressed. Even a game that he lost against the Detroit Lions, I was wildly impressed with what Geno Smith was bringing. And now you give him a better O-line. You give him what should be a great offensive coordinator, a great head coach in Pete Carroll, should be a sooner rather than later, a pretty darn good defense, a beast of a running back. Yeah, I'm really excited to see what Geno Smith can do. I'm really excited. And even when you look at this top 10 list, it's actually really fascinating when you think about it more. Because we can throw away Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. Those 4 quarterbacks, we can just get rid of them. Those quarterbacks are on a different level, and they've done so consistently now for years. So let's just throw them out. And let's get rid of Jaden Daniels 1 year. He's only been in the NFL 1 year. I'm mega high on Jaden Daniels, but just for the sake of argument, we can just throw him out because it's just 1 year. So we're really left with Jalen Hurts, Matthew Stafford, Justin Herbert, and Jared Goff. These 4 quarterbacks that people can debate all day. There's people that are going to say Jalen Hurts should be top 5, that he's above Joe Burrow or Josh Allen. And again, that's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to get in these types of conversations, but I just think the vast majority of people can agree those quarterbacks are top 4, or at least the top, the highest tier. And then again, Jaden Daniels, I think, is a little bit more is a little bit different just because of the rookie year. So when we're sitting here with Jalen Hurts, Stafford, and Justin Herbert and Jared Goff, again, the reason why I'm bringing up those quarterbacks is not to try to debate, but it's just like that's just a very small amount of quarterbacks, and then boom, Geno Smith. So again, like you're just talking about quarterbacks, and even by their tier system, tier 2, like they're in the same tiers. Again, according to PFF, and like I said, I'm not trying to get bogged down, or I guess it's also with the 3A, excuse me. But I'm not trying to get bogged down between the order. It's just the point that I'm trying to drive home is that Geno Smith, again, according to PFF, is essentially right at the top of the quarterbacks that are not the MVP, that are not the MVPs, that are not Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh. I mean, those 3 quarterbacks right there, boom, MVPs. So it's just like who are not the quarterbacks who people are just like, these are some of the greatest quarterbacks I've ever seen in my entire life. And I'm not going to compare Geno Smith. I'm not going to hold Geno Smith to that standard. So it's like if you can't get a Patrick Mahomes or a Josh Allen or a Lamar Jackson, realistically, the most you're shooting for would be right in this range, would be within the 5 to 10 range. It's realistically, it's as good as you can get unless you're lucky enough to hit the lottery in the draft. That's what it comes down to. The Chiefs hit the lottery. The Bills hit the lottery. The Ravens hit the lottery. Like that's just what it comes down to. It wasn't like smart and strategic. It was like, we think this guy's going to be great, and he ended up being even better than you could have ever imagined, right? Like, it's just like, truly. If the Chiefs truly believed that Patrick Mahomes was going to become Patrick Mahomes, doesn't matter what predictions they had in the draft of who was drafting who, they would have traded to the number 1 pick. I don't care that you bet the farm. You'd say, I don't care, we're going all in. We cannot give up even the slightest bit of a chance that anyone drafts this quarterback. Same thing with Lamar Jackson. Same thing with Josh Allen. Like, you would be all hands on deck. It's not like, oh, well, none of these other teams need quarterbacks. Doesn't matter. You can't risk any type of wild card. You can't risk of them making a trade with another team behind you. You got to just go all in. If you truly knew what those quarterbacks were going to become. And so it's just, when you look at the next pile of what the potential of quarterbacks is, and that you have Geno Smith right there, it's high level play. And it's so interesting because we're now talking about a great offensive coordinator, a great and proven head coach and defensive coach to take care of the other side of the ball, and Pete Carroll. And now you're bringing in a top quarterback. How could you then where are we saying that this team will not find its way to get wins? I mean, right, we can't look at this team and say they're stacked and that their depth is through the roof. I get that. And if we could say that, then we would say that this is like a bona fide top 4, top 5 Super Bowl contender. And I'm not making that argument. But it's just like, it feels like people still kind of see this team as pretty much as a fringe bad team where it's like, I don't know, it's the Raiders. Like, yeah, they might have a cool win against the Ravens or the Chiefs or something, but what can they really do? And I'm like, I don't know, man. I think they can do something. I think if Geno Smith truly proves to be a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, which let's not pretend like that's an easy thing to do. And if Pete Carroll can still run a team and get that defense in shape, and if Chip Kelly is a legitimate offensive mind and a future long-term offensive mind in the NFL, and Genty is proven to be worthy of that pick, and you have the rest of the continuity of the team, Bowers, etc. I mean, what's really getting in the way of this team of being able to be making noise in the division, minimum wild card, just no longer being a team that you're like, all right, we get to play the Raiders. This should be a pretty straightforward game, I'm excited to see it, because even when this team was so inconsistent and was getting in their own way, whether it be through quarterback play, coaching, whatever, they still found themselves to be pretty interesting. And they found themselves to still pull off some fascinating wins and some fascinating games that you're just kind of like, man, what could this team look like with competent coaching on both sides of the ball, competent play calling, and competent quarterback play, and adding a couple other beasts on the team? I'm excited. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Geno Smith just being the last kid picked at recess? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.